Hello and welcome to another edition of Luminar Coffee Break. I'm your host, Valentine. Now, our topic today is how to create a killer Valentine's card to wow your Valentine. All right? Now, to get started, let me jump right in. And here we are. Now, this is Dan and Jess. These were the two that actually came up with the style that I'm about to show you. And these are actually the images they take of themselves. So I use that as an example. Here's before and after. Here's the original. And this is what we're going to add to it. All right? Now, before we go any further, we have to do a little planning here. The image itself, here, let me come over to the edit panel, and I'm going to start with the original image. So the original image is your traditional 2:3 ratio. It's not the size that we need for a card. So the card I want to create is a 5x7 card. And you can go to either one of your own printing companies. If you're here in the States, Walmart, Walgreens, any of those places that sell blank cards online, you could use. And if you're over in the UK, which we have a lot of our friends coming in from France and so on, just find a place that will print whatever size cards you want with a blank insert, right? And then you can add to the insert. In this case here, I want to make it a 5x7. So the first thing I need to do is come over, and before we start to edit it, I want to crop it for a 5x7. So we'll click on the Composition AI tool, and what I want to do is scroll down to here, and here's 5x7. Good. I'm going to crank it in just a little bit. That's it. Now, you know they normally say don't crop off at the joints. If you did a crop like this, it's not bad because it's perspective. You know your eye will actually fill in the blank on what's supposed to be there. So that's not a problem. But I do want to get it a little less, right about here. There we go. Now I did that because typically you want the card to be just a little bit big, because when they trim it, it's going to cut in just a little bit. All right? So now we have that set. I'll lock it into place. And now we have the card set. So that's really cool. Now let's come over to templates. And for this particular template, I'm going to use this a cute couple with hearts, and I'll show you how I did it real quick. Boom! Look at that. So I started with, and let me get into it for you. So I came over here, and I started with a look, an old Luminar look that Dan and Jess actually like. So I kind of copied their style, got it in there. The difference was this. Because it's Valentine's Day, I decided to use the texture tool. From the texture tool, I loaded the texture, and of course the texture I loaded, and let me get to it for you, is for Valentine's. So we'll come over to photography. Remember we talked about laying out your assets? Well, now I have this here, those templates. Let me do textures. And here we are, heart bokeh textures. And I just selected this texture, and then I applied it to the image itself. And then, most importantly, I masked out an area. So in fact, you know what? Let's redo it again. So I'm going to go to load texture. So I'll start right from the beginning with you. And textures, here we are. Let's use this one here and apply it. Good. Now once I have it in set, I did come over and use the erase tool to erase out the areas that I didn't want. I didn't want it to appear on the couple. I wanted the hearts to be around them. and I used the opacity of 100 just to make sure I'm not getting any faded hearts in there. And then notice the opacity, I set that to 100. If I fade it back, you can hardly notice it. And the neat thing about this texture here is I can zoom back and forth. So I did make them just a little bit larger to kind of fill in the gaps. So if this wasn't for Valentine's Day, let's say it was for their anniversary, I just remove the hearts. Since it is for Valentine's Day, you throw the hearts in there and put something pretty cool. Now, no, you can't add text inside Luminar. That's where you would export this as a TIFF or a JPEG, fire up either Photoshop or Illustrator, and design your text for the card that way. Or if you have InDesign, you can go that route too. But this is strictly dealing with getting the artwork ready so we can hand it off to the printer. All right? Now, while we're waiting, let's see, this is where you can start asking a bunch of questions. And, oh, you're right. Pat, yes, Pat, especially this time of year, sorry, try that again. There we go, one more. Sorry about that. There we go. All right, and yes, at this time of year, Pat, we do have people, unfortunately, who are no longer with us, and I wish we could send stuff up. In the past, we used to put them on little balloons and send it up to the sky until a little kid said to me, Mr. Vanelli, you know that's bad for the turtles? The turtles eat the balloons, so I've learned not to do that anymore. So, let's see. I'm going to pull up Julie. Julie says, I was playing with the textures on the photos I took the other day. Oh, awesome. Good. Yeah, so textures are a really cool way of just adding that little extra to your scene. And it's just something you can just experiment and play with. All right? Well, there we have it, guys. And again, if you like what we're doing, please hit that thumbs up so the producers will be smiling. And of course, we know that you enjoy the content that we're sharing. If you have questions or if you want to see future topics in future coffee breaks, please leave them in the comments and we'll get to them as soon as we can. All right? Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you at the next coffee break.